Welcome back, Abiotic Factor and Speedrun enjoyers. Another run very soon. This is the Any Percent, formerly called Glitched. It is allowing pretty much whatever to meet the conditions to reach the end of the game, which is still talking to the sister in reactors, and that still requires at least doing the hydroplant objectives. Otherwise, the sister does not appear, because it is possible to get in there through other means, but she doesn't show up until you actually complete the main objective in hydroplant. So this is utilizing the new flight glitch that was expanded upon. It was known for probably about a week using rope plants, but it was also found that you could activate it using just ropes, which means you don't have to visit the myco fields anymore to do this. You just need to get far enough to have access to telephones, because the other two materials are cloth and metal scrap, which you can get through this tutorial intro area, and that's kind of the goal here. Now, I wouldn't call this a perfect run. I just wanted to get a run done to show a potential route, because this feels like something that, as much as Deep Field has been really cool about leaving a lot of little glitches intact because they generally don't affect the casual player experience, this is a big deal to just be able to fly whenever you want. And it'd be awesome if they leave it for us, because it is still very specific to activate, but you know, there's got to be a line somewhere where the devs decide, no, this is too much. You have actually broken our game beyond what we're comfortable with. So we'll see. Cautiously optimistic they'll leave it, but that's why I wanted to get a run done to show it off, just in case it does get removed. So we have this nice little archive to show us what could have been. So this starts out pretty similar to a normal formerly glitchless, now any percent run. You're just getting out of the starting area with the materials you need. The biggest RNG on this is getting the karate helmet in this room coming up. You have a couple options. You can go check the other two spots it spawns in the gym or the locker room, or you can just exit and reload and hope it shows up. So in this case, I got it, so great. That's probably saved 10 to 30 seconds, depending on how stubborn the RNG wants to be. It's always somewhere. Do you want to gamble on getting it fast, or do you want to take the slightly longer time and get it the normal way? Water cooler is to get into the mainframe in hydroplant. That's still behind a locked door, so clipping is the way you gotta go. And this makes it interesting because the flight glitch doesn't let you get on the ground, which means you can't water cooler or other objects clip. Water cooler's used the most because it's the easiest, but you can do it with like a trash can or something. It's just trash cans have a high chance to break at the beginning of the game. So this is the whole setup. You get these two things as close as possible, jump into them, and now you're flying. But the reason the on-the-ground thing matters, once you're in this state, you can cancel it by touching a ladder, touching another rope, sitting in a chair, touching water. But until then, it remembers the last place you were on the ground, which was right in front of the ropes used to activate it. And that's going to be abused to teleport back just by doing a save and exit game, because the game puts you back to where you were last on the ground. So the dip to manufacturing is to get optic lenses, because optic lenses are a huge chokehold on this game, especially when you want to go fast. Not so bad now that you can farm snipers for them, at least in single player, but in multiplayer, I imagine if you're only playing with people online and can't just save and exit to force respawns, that must be terrible to get enough optic lenses. So that's what's happening here. Need the screws and the hoses, got the steel cable. Farming snipers is an option for this route and could potentially be faster, but it's very RNG dependent on getting the sniper rifle sooner rather than later by exiting and reloading. The exit reload will also disable the fly glitch, because you need to be out of it to be respawned next to the sniper, so you'd have to set that up again, and then you would also need to make a salvage bench to break the rifle down for the two optic lens. So if you want to gamble on it and this route continues to be viable, you know, Deep Field doesn't patch out the fly glitch, then I'm sure you could save a couple minutes potentially by skipping coming into manufacturing entirely. But for now, this is the safe route. Like I said, this wasn't to make any speed records. I just wanted a proof of concept to show, hey, this is a thing that can be done. So exit the game here. Reload the game. And Death Warp 2.0 Electric Boogaloo, because you don't actually have to die. Just make sure you don't touch the ropes when you're recollecting. Avoid ladders and water. Now, this is another area. This is a dip into labs because you need an antiverse gem. You are not able to crouch while in the fly state, so I touched the ladder here to deactivate it. And that is because of the crawl space needed to get into labs. Right here. The other possibility I see for this is maybe doing a death warp out of labs instead of walking back out like I do here, but that would put you in the cafeteria. And then you'd have to out of bounds out of the cafeteria and swim out of the pool, and then usually use the railing just outside of the pool area to activate the flight glitch again. And I feel like it would end up being about the same amount of time. Because as you see, this isn't that long of a run to get back out of here. But then you don't have to deal with the inventory management aspect of a death warp, because you're carrying just enough stuff it won't all fit on the bar. Maybe with the fanny pack? I'd have to look. I think there's just enough room if that was the case. But, like, because of having to get out of the cafeteria again, that's really the big thing that kind of kills the possibility. So yeah, 6.5 minutes in, and we're into Hydroplant. Now this flight path is because the sniper that watches this half of the dam is a jerk and a cheater. And he will aggro you immediately if you come through that. Like, within a second, you are in his line of sights and he starts shooting. So that's why this being a little careful there. Flew a little too high, but thankfully dipped back down so he didn't get the shot. Flying is a little wonky because you're so fast and you have drift. So that's why I got stuck there. And then ladder to deactivate flying. Lost a little bit of time in this section because the game has trouble remembering where you were standing, even when you force a world save. You could literally stand in that spot for like 10 seconds, fiddle with your inventory, force the world save, and then for some reason it still does this, where, oh, I'm just back down the road I took a little bit. So this is, I didn't actually time it. I'm going to guess probably around a 20-second time loss from not getting it first try. But thankfully this is pretty forgiving. Again, proof of concept. I'm not trying to smash the record, make an impossible to beat record. I just wanted to do it to do it. See, that time I fiddled with the inventory. That sometimes helps the game save your character's location. It's like, oh, I need to remember you were standing here and not all the way down in the sewer still. And then got lucky here. The only thing that aggroed was the Peccary Sow. If the Exor Monk sees you, he will sometimes just teleport all the way into the sewer to chase you down. And you're not really in a good spot to deal with an Exor Monk gear-wise at this point. At least not quickly. Like, you can always just dodge their shots and club them in the head. So it's better to just save and exit to reset him. So what happened here, the ropes probably were not quite close enough to each other to activate it, so I repositioned this one as best I could, and there we go, got it that time, but then I touched the rope, so it reset it, had to do it one more time. And incredibly easy way to get to Voice Sora when gravity is a suggestion. So for the routing through this, to do the 4 main objectives you have to do, the other buttons can... The mainframe can be reset, as you saw I did. The spillway can be turned on. Or is that what they call the spillway? I'm not sure because the objectives aren't up. But you can do those two buttons before you do anything else. The final button at the radio has to
Nippy
be
in here,
pressed
wouldn't you
last.
say?
And then the first one with the two people you have to listen to, of course, you're stuck waiting for them to talk for like 2 minutes. Got lucky there. That last breacher is always the hardest one to avoid. Especially with flight controls, you get stuck on a corner with him point blanking you, and he can like 2 or 3 shot you before you get unstuck. Yeah, really nice to have that on the very first shelf. And once again, because of the flight glitch, we can just exit and be sent back all the way out of Vuesser to a pretty convenient spot. But yeah, because the one you have to wait for the people to talk on, that's when I try to do the building, and that's where getting the antiverse gem from labs is nice, because the only alternative is all the way over under the radio tower on this map, pseudo-guarded by a robot. It's not too bad to get when you have a vacuum, but it is kind of awful if you need to manually break it. You're probably going to aggro the robot.
We need to get down to reactors.
But since we're stuck waiting for these guys to talk, may as well get the building done. There might still be a bug with these guys. I don't know if it's just because of the sequence break trying to do this, but if you talk to them and then leave, you have hard-locked your game at that point if you save, because it will never let you push the button in this room. And their conversations get confused. The lady will talk to you about where the objectives are, and the guy will be like, "Hey, have you pushed that button yet?"
These quakes triggered a shutdown.
I'm staring at my inventory here. What happened was I was confused that I couldn't make the projection matrix, and then I realized it was probably because it didn't get officially added to my thing when I got the optic lens, so I just started moving stuff around in my inventory. And still didn't lose any time because I can't press this button yet.
But how desperate are you?
There we go. So yeah, the electrical station, you need to just sit there and wait for them to talk. If you wander off while they're talking, you can potentially ruin your save files still. Can you believe it? Almost done. Final stretch. Good old fast build. Now that sniper was shooting at something else, but he can see you there. Thankfully, it's a very brief window and you're far enough away he usually misses. And there it is, 12 minutes, 47 seconds.
Converge at the cusp, this boundary of dust. Ask yourself, has the moment arrived, or will it wait? This impasse shields you now, for dark energy lies below.
And Dark Energy is the next content drop after Hydroplant, sometime in October, I think, for Halloween. And of course, the actual in-game time, only 11 minutes in the world, and the game was technically beaten to current content.